So in this video, I will be showing you some easy Chinese dishes that you can try to make if you are new to cooking and you have no idea where to start. Here are some ideas for vegetables, eggs, soup, and even tofu. So we're gonna start off with the easiest, which is tofu. This is one of my go-to dish to cook whenever I don't know what to cook. You will need a block of soft tofu. You can find them at all supermarkets, they should have it. I would normally steam it for around 10 minutes just to get all the unwanted stuff off of it. If you want it to be like a cold tofu dish, you can definitely just skip that part. Bear in mind that they are really fragile and soft, so you really do need to be extra careful when handling them. Otherwise, you just end up like mine. The other half is in the sink, which is really sad. So for the sauce, you would need a tablespoon of olive oil and a tablespoon of soy sauce. To garnish it, you can actually add spring onions, but I normally just add fried shallots and garlics. All you have to do is just fry shallots and garlic. After garnishing it, I would normally shower the tofu with the sauce just to make it look even better. So the next category is egg, and I always cook an eggy dish for every meal. So one of my go-to egg dish to make for my family is the fried egg with onion. It's one of their favorite as well. So mine is actually a bit spoiled on the inside, so I mainly use the outer part of the onion. Since there's only like 2% eating it, I only need half an onion. So I'm just using one of the Bin & Beam reusable lids to wrap up the other half that I don't need and just keep it for another time. Now, I normally won't cut the root or like the stem part out first. I feel like that will make me cry, you know, cause that's like the part where it burns, you know, so I always keep it attached first. So I will normally face the onion flat and then cut diagonally. Heat up the pan to medium-low heat. You don't want to burn the onions. Keep it low first and then control later on. I mean, this is basically how I do it lah. And then pour in like a tablespoon of your preferred oil. I normally use olive oil for everything. Dump in all the onions and just start frying. And definitely do not be afraid to use oil in any of your dish. They are so beneficial for you, especially if you're getting like the healthy oil, cause they're just like a good source of healthy fats. I would also add in like a bit of water along the way just to really help the onions to caramelize. So as you're frying the onion, crack open an egg or two depending on how many person are eating it. So sometimes I would also add in some vegetable stock, either in liquid form or powder form, because it just gives it that extra flavor. And then I would also just add some black pepper and salt. So you want to make sure that you fry the onion till they are like goldish brown and kind of burn, you know. My mom always asks me to just make it burn a little more, you know, it's much more fragrant. Pour in the egg and fry like normal. And then that is all. It's like so simple. If you're not a fan of onion, you can also use French beans or long beans, whatever you want to call it. When I used to eat egg, right, this is like one of my favorite dish. Just dice your French beans into pieces like this and start frying them like usual. I would normally transfer the things that are being fried into the bowl of egg mixture just to really kind of like even them out. So I actually used a little bit too little of the French beans. Normally, I would just amp up with the amount of French beans. Easy, simple, and quick eggy dish. Why do I keep calling it an eggy dish? I don't know. I just love the sound of it. It's like so cute. It's no surprise that us Chinese love our soup. It just makes every meal feels more homey. So the first soup that I learned to make was the ABC soup. I added 10 cups of water and it basically serves around 5 to 7%. Now because I don't add any meat into the soup, I do use vegetable stock to really give the soup more flavor. So I have been using this organic vegetable stock in powder form and there's no MSG, which is a plus. For 10 cups of water, I added 3.5 tablespoon of vegetable stock, which is not a lot. Yeah, it's not a lot. For the ingredients of the soup, you would need 3 onions. I love adding onions into soup. I don't know, I just love chewing really soft onions in soup. I love it. So you're just gonna chop all the onions into half, and then you'll need corns. Now I know the original soup actually calls for potato, but I don't normally add them into the soup. And then you would also need carrots. And then you're just gonna let it boil for 2 hours. And oh my gosh, it's so good. Definitely try adding some vegetable stock. Yeah. Now the last category is vegetable. So I am gonna start off with the basic fundamental way of how I cook my veggies. Every time I cook, I will take about 1 to 2 cloves of garlic, place it flat, and then smash it real hard with the knife. I normally use like this parang knife. It just gets all the job done, you know? Just chop it like this. I'm not the best at describing, but it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, chop like this. Make sure one end of the parang knife is securely on the chopping board. You just lift the other end of the knife. For the sauce, I normally use only 3 ingredients: salt, white pepper, vegetarian oyster sauce. I don't follow any specific measurements, so I really rely on my own taste bud and just season it until I like it. I would normally get an empty bowl, pour some water in. So if you want more sauce, add more water. First, add in the vegetarian oyster sauce, and then I will add this white pepper powder because it just really kind of like balance it out. I really love adding white pepper. And then you can also add more water in there if you feel like you added too much oyster sauce. I basically just use this sauce with any types of vegetable. It can be leafy greens, broccolis, it can be anything. Just heat your pan to low to medium heat and start frying the garlic first till it's fragrant. Now if you're cooking leafy greens, try to get the stems first cause those are like harder and it takes a longer time to soften up. Keep cooking them till they're bright green in color. So once you're familiar with like the basic way of cooking a veggie dish, you can move on to adding more elements to your dish. I also love adding shredded carrots to vegetables just to add more color to it and make it look more, you know, presentable, more appetizing. So I would normally shred a whole carrot that will probably last me throughout the week, and I'm also using the Bin & Bean reusable lids, and then keep the rest that I don't need for the rest of the week. I would normally cut the cabbage into small pieces like this. They are like strips of cabbage, I would say. As you saw in the footage earlier, I also added some fried fuzo, fried bean curd thing, like the tofu pork. So I started boiling them first. Like before this, I would just throw them straight into the pan because I was lazy, but now I've started boiling them first just to get rid of all the excess oil from the frying, you know? Otherwise, when you finish cooking the dish, it's all just oily and you know, it's not that great. As for the sauce, I use the same 3 ingredients as well: vegetarian oyster sauce, white pepper, some black pepper. Sometimes I do add in black pepper. So I actually used a whole cabbage, like a small cabbage. Yeah, it's a lot, I know. Sometimes I will let all the veggies to wilt down first, and then only I'll add in the sauce. But on certain days, I will just add in the sauce straight away. So once the cabbage is slightly cooked, add in the carrots. While that is cooking, you can go on and chop the bean curd. I love adding these bean curd slices, and also tofu pork. I definitely should have made more sauce for this because the ratio of the sauce to the veggie for this one is off, really off. Definitely make your sauce according to how much veggie you're using and how much sauce you want. I also like adding the tofu pork earlier just to let them soak into the sauce, so when you bite into it, it's just full of all the sauce, you know? It looks complicated, but it's so easy. You basically just dump in a few different things and it just looks like you're a chef. Another veggie dish that I love to make is the stir-fried French bean with garlic. It's so good. The main ingredient is garlic and you would need a lot of it. I used around 6 garlic cloves and just chop them as usual. And then you're just gonna chop your French beans. For the sauce, same thing, I don't measure, I just taste along the way. Things that you would need for the sauce is water, cornstarch, which will help to thicken it up, salt, and a bit of sugar. Heat your pan like usual and dump all the garlic in there. Now you would want to stir fry the garlic longer than usual because you just want all the flavors to come out, you know? And once you can smell the fragrant smell of the garlic thing, you can then move into adding fish cake. I love adding fish cake into this one, but if you want to keep it vegetarian, you can just omit that. And then after 2 to 3 minutes, just dump in all the long beans and start stir frying it. So simple, but it's so good. This is also my favorite. So those are all the cooking ideas that I really wanted to share with you, because I know some of you are still in your high school or in college and you want to start to learn how to cook and you don't know where to start. Hope this will help you a lot. And if you ever try making this right, do tag me on Insta stories. I would love to see them. If you're interested to get yourself a reusable lid set, the ones that I showed throughout this video, you can definitely go check out our Instagram page at Bin and Beam. I will leave everything in the description box below. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.